Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Friday Live. This is Fiona Lukes. I am here today with you live, like I am pretty much every Friday at around this time, to answer any questions that you may have around your life, around relationships. For those of you who don't know me, I specialize in the relationship space. I've been in this space for, I lose track now, 13 or 14 years. I work with clients all over the world, and I have a really, really different approach to, I guess I have a very, very different approach to how we deal with relationship issues, relationship skills, with how we show up to each other. I think the entire relationship space needs a complete shake-up, and that's absolutely what I am committed to doing. We approach relationships from a very, very complicated, exhausting, and I think quite adversarial way, and there is just an easier way to do it. Okay, so my message is relationships can be easy and effortless, which a lot of people find triggering. A lot of people don't believe me. A lot of people think I don't know what I'm talking about. This is on ads and things. My clients understand once we start working together, but I'm here to tell you that that is true. You can have an easy effort relationship with anybody, including you. So there is possible to have ease around a relationship where there is no ease. There is possible to see things much, much more simply than where you are seeing them now. And, this is what I am totally and utterly passionate about, and what I teach all day, every day. So I'm running these lives because I want to try and show you there's another way of approaching things. You don't need to learn a whole bunch of complicated techniques, strategies, systems. You don't need to understand all the different personality types. You don't need to learn you just don't need to do any of that. In fact, less is more, as the people I work with and the students in my Relatable program are learning each and every day, and which is why people say it's a breath of fresh air, because it takes an enormous emotional load off, which gives us freedom to show up, to be ourselves, where we can feel calm, present, grounded, happy, and just bring a greater level of shared experience, humanity to ourselves and our lives. And I've worked with many, many, many different people all over the world, from all walks of life, really, really wealthy people to people who aren't so wealthy, to people who from different religious backgrounds, cultures, ages. And I can tell you right now, everybody is looking for the same thing. Okay. It may look like it appears out here in different areas of your life, but you're all looking for the same thing. You're all looking for peace of mind. You're all looking for a good feeling. You're all looking for a sense of knowing that everything is okay. This is what you're all looking for. And some of you listening might say, no, that's not what I'm looking for. But I promise you, whatever it is you're looking for, it's because you think that will give you access to that peace of mind, clarity, a sense of well-being, connectedness, a sense of calm, a sense of knowing that all is well. People who have that in their lives do super, super well in their relationships. Super, super well. And they start to see how easy and effortless they really can be. So yeah, I want to change the whole narrative we have around it. They do not have to be complicated. They're not meant to be complicated. And that whole approach needs an overhaul. So, oh, hi, Rob. Nice to have you on the call. Whereabouts are you from in the world? Whereabouts are you? Because I'm always curious as to know where people are. I love the fact that, I've got people that I talk to from North Carolina, Ohio, Vancouver, the UK, Scotland, Norway, Spain, obviously many, many areas of Australia. And I love that. And, it doesn't matter where we are in the world, right? We're all looking for the same thing. We all work the same way. Yes, we're all different. We're all having a unique experience, but we all work the same way. So once you work out how a human being operates, you can take that knowing into each and every relationship in your life. And this is why I say it doesn't matter what relationship you are dealing with, the solution is the same, right? Doesn't matter what relationship you're dealing with, the solution is the same. MN, is that Minnesota? What does MN stand for? Rob, if you, sorry, I'm not sure what that means. Oh, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your kind words about my ebook. I really, really do. Thank you for that. Now, yes, I'm not sure where MN is. And anybody else who's on the call right now, feel free to say hi. I thought it was Minnesota. Okay, perfect. Now, what time is it in Minnesota? It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or something on Thursday, right? Because we're a day ahead of you guys. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling calmer. It is such a big part of this is our ability to feel calmer. And, you know, I really just want to address what you've just said, Rob, because this is very, very important. Meanwhile, if you're on the line, feel free to say hi and tell me where you are in the world. I'd love to know. I really, really would. 9 p.m. Okay, cool. So one of the things that gets in the way of our relationships is our level of calm. And, you know, I know for a lot of people, being busy minded and feeling stressed and feeling uptight looks like it's one of those things that you can't help because of the way the world is, especially with what's going on in the world at the moment. Okay. But because our lives are busy, because if you're a parent dealing with children or you're working and you're dealing with the commitments of life, it looks like that's an inevitable way to live. Okay. It looks like you've got no choice. And I really want you to know that that's not true. I really want you to know, as someone who used to be and I'm putting my hand up here, a complete stress head who would get wound up, was so busy minded that I was just kind of rushing through life and missing everything. And of course, when you rush through life, you don't do so well at your relationships. Your relationships suffer terribly. And so for many people who come to me who think they've got these enormous issues to deal with in their relationships, these enormous mountains to climb, right? One of the things that they're not taking into account is how busy-minded they are and the enormous toll that takes on them and their relationships. And honestly, most relationship issues, and I don't want to simplify things, although it kind of all comes back to that place. Most relationship issues start and end with the amount of overthinking that we have. We all have a chronic overthinking addiction. Okay. And when our heads are going fast, our hearts close. When our minds quieten down, our hearts open. But when our heads are going at a million miles an hour, your heart's pretty much shut because you are in judgment. You are in comparison. You are in rigidity. You are very inflexible. You are incapable of listening. You are very much caught up in me, right? And I don't mean to say that to make you wrong. This isn't wrong. We all do it. It's one of the awesome things about being human. This is what we do. But you want to be able to factor that in. You want to be able to factor in your humanness. And this is something people do not factor in at all. And if you are not factoring that in, you're missing an enormous piece of the puzzle, right? An enormous piece of the puzzle. So this is what I'm so passionate about, is teaching people how to navigate their humanness. And the really cool thing is, if you know how to navigate yours, you know how to navigate anybody's, okay? Because we all operate the same way. As I think I mentioned this last week, it's kind of like when you know how to drive a manual car, you can get into any type of car and drive that car, because a manual car all works the same way. Once you know how to drive one manual car, you can drive any. And this is true of relationships. Once you understand how things work, and we are not taught this. You may think you know this. I promise you, we're not taught it. We're just not. So once you understand, how things work, you then take that understanding into any and every relationship in your life, because everybody works the same way. Okay. And then you don't need complicated systems. You don't need lots of strategies. You don't need to understand personality types, communication styles. You actually don't. All of that just becomes white noise on top of this understanding. So in my mind, this is absolutely crucial, and it is what completely turned my marriage around. So when I came across this understanding around 9 years ago, my marriage was on the verge of divorce. And my husband's quite okay with me saying this. I've told this story many times, but I felt like we just were too different, that we didn't have anything in common. And I was really, really caught up in the complicatedness. We were, different personalities. He makes decisions slowly. I make them quickly. I could go on and on with all our differences. And to me, they seemed insurmountable. It looked like I was with the wrong person. And it looked like the only way to create change was if I was with someone else, or you know what I mean? Or if my husband had a complete and utter personality change. So I was not factoring in me at all. I had no idea of how to navigate my humanness. And so, of course, I didn't know how to navigate his. Once I had this understanding, I can't tell you the difference. It was, I'm still, I can't even explain to you how life changing it was, and not just in my relationship with my husband, but my relationship with my children, with my parents, my siblings, with friends, and oh, absolutely with me. With me, I was I can't just so different. I started to slow down. I started to have an appreciation of many things. I started to learn how to show up without an agenda. This is huge in relationships. People have agendas everywhere that they can't see, and they don't realize that they're operating over the top of. Okay. So when you don't understand that, you can't see what you're bringing to the table. And as I say to people all of the time, okay, your energy enters the room way before you do. It's your energy that impacts everything, not the words that you say, but the energy that you bring. And this is our biggest blind spot, like huge. Doesn't matter which client I'm working with, that is they're always shocked when they actually start to get an awareness of the energy that they're bringing and how that is impacting their relationships. Now, of course, when you see that, all of a sudden you have choice that you never ever had before. And this is where you start to see how much more powerful you actually are, right? We are not the victim of our circumstances as much as it appears to us. We're not at the mercy of them the way it looks. Once you understand how things work, you actually realize you are not at the mercy of things as much as you may have thought you were. And this gives you an entirely different place to live from within you, which then flows out to everyone in your life. Okay. And I love the fact that, we all get taught to, hey, Naomi from Brisbane. Hi there. It all begins within. Absolutely. So, but of course, what does that mean? We often, the terms look within are bandied around, but what does that even mean? And I think what is so cool about the understanding that I teach is I give you a very clear way to, a very clear kind of practical way to be able to look at that within yourself, to know where you are at, and then to be able to adjust accordingly. And it's really easy, and it feels good, and the impact on the people around you is immediate. Okay? Immediate. And this is what I think is so cool about this. People get excited because instead of trolling through all the problems, all the differences, all the personality types, all the love languages, all the this, which seems like hard work and exhausting, you actually get to see change and the impact of it very, very quickly. And then you get to live in the feeling of that, right? And remember what I said at the start of this live. People are all looking for the same thing: peace of mind, a sense of presence and connection, clarity. This is what we're looking for, okay? We are. And so when people feel that way, they get an enormous sense of relief. It's like the pressure gets lifted off. I was speaking to a lady in the UK the other day who said, I feel like I have bricks sitting on my shoulders, concrete blocks. And you know what so many people do? And we walk through life with this heaviness, okay? I want you to think of this for a second. You walk through life with this heaviness. Life feels hard. It's exhausting. It's difficult. You're overwhelmed. You've got a lot on your mind. And then your partner says something to you that you don't agree with. You don't have the bandwidth to deal with it. And so we go, or we shut down. And the relationship suffers. And we think that we can't help it. We think that we have no choice. I want you to know you do have choice. I was actually talking about this with a client just before. We were talking about what the term potential actually means, right? The potential of a human being. We were having that conversation in a session. These are the really cool, awesome conversations that I get to have with my clients all day long. People come to me for relationship help, and then we end up talking about all sorts of things that end up taking them back to a place where they see their relationship completely differently and their lives and they get to feel calm, centered, grounded, lighter, things that they were never expecting. So anyway, we were talking about what it means to really sit in the potential of a human being. So what does human potential mean? And I think we have this around the wrong way. We see potential in terms of what we can have and do, right? In terms of what we can have and do. And that's not really the magic around human potential. That's not the power behind human potential. That's not where the juice lies. Because you know what? As I was saying to my client earlier, it's all well and good to say that anyone can have anything and anyone can do anything. Well, that's not true. Because if I said to you now, I've got a dream to win Wimbledon and I'm going to start training. Well, unfortunately, as much as I may have that dream and as much as I may want to do that and as much as I might want to train, I am too old. That horse bolted a long time ago. I lost that opportunity decades ago, right? Doesn't matter how much I might want to do it. I don't have that is not going to happen, right? So it's not about being able to do everything. And not everybody can have everything they want. As I say to a lot of my clients, I am sure there are plenty of Meryl Streeps waiting tables that have not been discovered and won't be in Hollywood, right? Okay. So, and some of you may understand this, just because you work really hard and you apply yourself is no guarantee that you are going to do or have that thing. And I don't say that to be a doomsday person or whatever. I'm just being practical here. However, if we look at human potential from another aspect, and this is important when it comes to our relationships, this is key. So I'm going to bring it back. If you're thinking, what the heck is she on this tangent for? I promise you, it's all part of it. So yeah, absolutely, Rob. Yep, absolutely. When we're present, we're listening or understanding, we're incredibly valued to our work teams. Yes, that's right. I do. And this is why I take this into teams and I show them that. And the health of the team changes. So, because absolutely, you're right. 100%. It filters out everywhere in our lives. But let's come back to what I was saying about human potential. So it's not about something out here. Human potential is something that lies inside of us. So it's not about what you can have or what you can do. That's not where the power of it lies. The power, the extraordinary thing about human potential, the little known superpower, and I call it a superpower, that people don't know that they have, is that a human being, and I mean any human being without exception, can have any experience around anything. That's the true potential of a human being, is that we can have any experience around anything. And this is the little known superpower that people do not know that they have. And so they don't utilize it. They don't bring it to the table in their relationships. Now, I want you to think about it for a second. What would that mean to you if you knew that you could have any experience around anything? So in other words, something could be happening here, yet your experience of that is completely different to that thing. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. Say someone's screaming and yelling at you, right? And they're saying, you've done this and you've done that, and how could you? And they're really projecting, right? They're angry and projecting. You could say to me, well, of course I'm going to be upset, Fiona. I can't help it. And I'm like, that's not true, right? That's a misunderstanding. Because one of the things that I show my clients is how to show up to that differently, where they don't feel so pummeled, where they don't feel so defeated, where they don't feel so frightened, where they actually stand in their power, feel calmer, clearer, and empowered to handle that completely differently, because A does not equal B. That's a complete and utter illusion, and something that we are not taught. And it's a big part of what I teach in my Relatable program and in my private work, right? A does not equal B. It doesn't work that way. There is not an arrow from A going straight to B. There's not a bullet being fired from someone into someone else. It doesn't work that way. It's one of the biggest cons, illusions, misunderstandings out there. Your experience is not coming from that, okay? It looks that way. And this is a huge, huge issue in relationships, because whilst ever you think you are at the mercy of somebody else, you have no choice and you have no power, right? So our suffering increases exponentially. Now, when you understand what I'm talking about and you see the truth of it, life-changing in your relationships and in your own personal experience of life. Life-changing. This is why people say they have peace of mind and a sense of freedom. They no longer go through life feeling in fear of something happening and feeling like they've got to be careful and on edge. This is where we overthink, where our minds get too busy and we're unable to bring something else to the table when we need it and want it the most, especially in our relationships. Okay, so this is very, very important. When you understand how the operating system of a human being actually works, and we all work the same way, when you see what I'm talking about when it comes to the amount of choice we have, when you actually see how powerful you are, that you are not at the mercy of that thing, that you can have any experience around anything, life looks completely different. Right? And you show up differently. See, most people are showing up from a place where they've got to prove something to someone, where they've got to defend something to someone, where they've got to overcome something. They're bringing all these agendas, and they're all coming from a place of fear. And they all stem from the misunderstanding that that thing out there determines everything for me. Now, when you actually see this and you see the truth of what I'm saying, life-changing. Life-changing. The fear starts to fall away. This is where people are enabled to be present in the now. And in the now, human beings do amazingly well. Amazingly well. No matter what has happened in your past. Okay? No matter what has happened in your past. Sorry, that's my VA messaging me. I'm going to turn off notifications. Sorry about that. Okay? Human beings do amazingly well. So when we understand this, I want you to see that this is true for all human beings, right? I'm not talking about something that only applies to some people. I'm talking about something that applies to everybody all of the time. And there are very few things in life that apply to everybody all of the time. And I want you to know, thanks so much, Naomi, so true, always waiting for the lion to attack you. There's so many people who live like that. And so they're bringing that energy into their relationships. And it's very discombobulating for them and the people around them. Right? And I just want you to know you don't have to do that. And it's easier than you think. Right? It's easier than you think. Now, if you're listening to this and you're in a really tough situation and maybe you're thinking, this woman doesn't know what I'm dealing with, I want you to know something. I've dealt with some very, very tough situations in my life. I left a domestically violent relationship many years ago with 2 little boys, and I had to kind of go to a place where he didn't know where we were. I was absolutely terrified, and I had to start my life over, right? And it's from that experience that I am now doing what I'm doing now. And I have a completely different experience of that these days. It's completely different. And I can see now that if I knew then what I know now, that whole experience would have been completely different. I'm not saying I wouldn't have left. I would have, but I would have done it without the trauma, the suffering, the fear, the sense of brokenness that I felt. I would have done that very, very differently with a lot more ease, a lot more calm, and a greater sense of freedom. And when you have that in your life, you are far, far more powerful and far, far more empowered. Okay. And we need more people who are tuned in to their own power in the world. We really, really do. That's what we need. That's what I'm committed to bringing to the table. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to check in. So I know we've had a few more people join us. Feel free to comment below where you are in the world. Love to hear where you are, where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions, this is your opportunity to ask them and to see if I can be of service and assist you. I've got a couple of people messaging me wanting to know about my Relatable program. You can find out about Relatable here. There's a couple of you messaging me wanting to know where you can buy my ebook. So I will put the link for that in the comments as well. So here's where you can find out about Relatable. Relatable is awesome. I've got students all over the world doing it. We have the best time. We really do. We just have an absolutely fantastic time. We run group calls twice a week, and we're like a family. That's what people call themselves. We're now calling themselves the Relatable Family. It's beautiful. So if you want to know about that, click on the link below and you can find out about that. And for those of you who want to know about the ebook that Rob's talking about, I will send you the link to that. Now, where is that? In the meantime, has anyone got a question for me? Is there anything I can do to be of service to you? Is there anything that you are dealing with that you would like to know more about? Here's the link to my ebook. Okay, for those of you who want to know that, I'll put that up on the screen for you now. How can I be of service to you guys in the time that I have left? How can I help you? Who's brave enough to jump on and say hi? Do you like my mug? I got that from my daughter for Mother's Day. Follow your dreams. Very cute. Who would like to ask me a question? How can I be of service? Relatable is an online program. You log into a membership site and it's all there. It's drip fed for you over 8 weeks. What is done live is the group calls, Rob. So I do the group calls twice a week. I do them on a Monday morning, my time at 10 a.m., which is I think it's 5 p.m. Pacific in the States. So I do them on a Monday for my students in Canada and the US. And I also run them on a Wednesday evening in Australia at 7:30 p.m. So I run them twice a week to cater for the students in the different time zones. All the calls are recorded and put into the membership site for you. And so you can go back and listen to them later. If you want to join both calls per week, you can. Some students do because they just love the conversation so much. It really just depends on what you're wanting to do. So the live component is the group calls where you can ask you questions, and we also have a absolutely beautiful Facebook community that's where people feel like they're part of a family. So you get to join that and post comments and questions. And because everybody has this understanding, there's lots of love and support in there for you. So it's just a beautiful space. So yeah, you do the program. It's drip fed, so you get module 1 week, module 2 the next, because I want you to take the time to learn it and reflect, and then you get to hang out on the group calls, and we just have an absolutely fantastic time. I'm trying to show you a comment from one of the last group calls that we did, where one of the guys wasn't able to attend the call, but he listened to it afterwards and just said that was one of the most amazing things he'd ever heard. And these are, so you can see that I'm not exaggerating when I talk about this. This is what happens all the time. Let's see if I can put that in the group. Don't know if I'm able to do that. Anyway, I'll see if I can bring that group call up onto the screen for you. Yeah, or otherwise I'll pop it into the chat afterwards. So how can I help you guys? Do you have any other comments, questions? What's going on that you would like some help with? I had a couple of people send me an email, which I answered in the live I did for my Insight community members. So I've got a private Facebook group called the Insight Community. You're welcome to join it if you wish. I'll put a link to that in the chat too. So I do a live for them, just for them on a Thursday as well. So, but I know in the world right now, there are many people feeling like they are at the mercy of life and they're at the mercy of their relationships. And if that is you, I really want you to know that it doesn't have to feel that way. I promise you it doesn't. And I don't mean to diminish what your experience is. I really don't. But I want you to know you are more powerful than you realize. And you have way more ability to affect change than you realize. And as I said earlier, as a human being, you can have any experience, right? This is the potential. We have the potential to have any experience around anything. Our experience is not governed by what is happening here. That is a misunderstanding and something that we have not been taught. You are not at the mercy of life. You aren't. I know it feels that way. I really do. Believe me. And I felt that way myself at times. But I promise you that's not true. There is a way where you can move through life with a lot more ease, grace, humility, calm, relief, where you're not constantly analyzing and overthinking everything, where your head's not going at a million miles an hour, where you're waking up panicking during the night. How do I know this? Because this is what my new clients tell me all the time. All the time. I hear it all day, every day. And I don't mean that, like, believe me, I think what I do is an honor and a privilege. And it breaks my heart when I hear this from people because they don't understand how much more there is on offer without this having to change. I really want you to know this. There is so much more on offer without this having to change. This does not have to change in order for you to feel good. All right? Now, imagine if you knew that. Just that one knowing, you can take everywhere with you. Everywhere. That one knowing into any and every situation in your life. That's what's on offer here. Right? To me, that's just priceless. To me, and that's why I keep saying it's the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. Because when life is difficult and I'm in Melbourne, we've been in lockdown for 200 days. We've now got a curfew. All the parks and swings and things are shut up with tape. There's nowhere for the kids to go. We're remote learning with children at home. It's full on. It really is. It's not easy. But I do not feel like I'm at the mercy of this. I'm moving through it with a completely different energy and therefore a completely different experience to a lot of people. And it's not because I'm different. We're all the same, but it's because I have this understanding, right? Because I have this understanding. And I wish everybody in the world had it. I really do. Hey, Roz, nice to see you here. Roz has done relatable. So that's what she's saying when she said seriously life-changing. And Roz was extremely skeptical at the start, very, very, very skeptical. But it's just been beautiful to see the changes for you and your relationships, Roz. It's just awesome. So thanks for coming here and commenting. Cecily, hey, Cecily. Oh, it's Carly. Hi, Carly. Carly's another one who's done relatable. Thanks, honey. Carly's from Canada. And yeah, she's had a completely different and life-changing experience. It's a beautiful thing. So, I'm not asking these people to come here and comment. I'm not paying them anything to say this. Cecily, okay. If I'm scared to tell someone something, is that because I'm not coming from my truth, not seeing my truth? I guess it would depend, Carly. If you're scared, you just know that you're in your ego mind when you're scared, okay? And there's nothing wrong with being scared, but you might just want to check in on the space that you are coming from, okay? So there's nothing wrong with being scared. But when we are scared of being scared, that's when the problem comes, right? Fear is not something you have to wait till you eradicate. Often we do things when we feel nervous or frightened. But if you're okay with being frightened, that's a completely different experience of frightened. But if you're frightened of being frightened, well, that's a completely different experience again, right? So there's different degrees of experience around our experience. I'm going to say that again. There are degrees of experience around our experience. And so most people struggle in life because they are continually resisting their experience. And it's not because the experience is the problem, it's because they are resisting it that is the problem, and that's what they can't see. Okay? So I hope that helps, Carly. Yes. Quietening the overthinking is so critical in a time when we consume information with a fire hose. Yes. And information is not helpful. Okay. It's not information that creates change, everybody. Really? It's not. It's not information that creates change. It's not. There's something else that creates change, and it is not through information. So when we're gathering information, we're not necessarily having insight. It's insight that creates change, not information. So, a big part of what I do is I'm not here giving people a lot of information. I'm pointing them in a direction where they can have an insight, right? I'm pointing them in a direction where they can have an insight. Yes, that's right, Cully. That was Cecilia's question. Absolutely. So I'm pointing them in a direction where they can have insight, because insight is the leverage for long-term sustainable change. And the beautiful thing about insight is when you know where to look for them and you can tap into them, that is a knowing that you take everywhere for the rest of your life, right? No matter what situation you're facing, no matter what situation you're dealing with, you bring and leverage off the power of insight, not information. Two very, very different things and two very, very different experiences. Okay. So in the relationship space, for example, there's a lot of information. Okay. A lot. But people don't need information. That's not what people are looking for. People are looking for insight, because insight fundamentally shifts your reality. Information just adds more stuff that you've got to wade through, right? And let me tell you, by the time you're having relationship difficulties, you are already wading through a ton of stuff. You're wading through your own thinking. You're wading through the past. You're wading. Wading means moving through. Sorry if my Aussie accent's hard to understand. I know some of you go, what the heck is she saying? If you're wading through, moving through, like trawling through a lot of information, that just adds more thinking to thinking. And if it's one thing people don't need is more thinking on top of thinking, right? We need less thinking. We do better with less. We don't need more thinking. More thinking is something we absolutely fundamentally do not need. It is not helpful. It just feels heavy and it gets in the way. And then we can't see the forest for the trees. Okay. We just can't. We can't see the forest for the trees. So I've just had a couple of people ask me to put the link to Relatable back up. So here it is. And I'll put the link to the ebook back up as well. But if you're looking for it, it's in the comments. So it's very, very important. Hey, Maz. Hi, honey. Thanks for jumping on the call. Maz is another person who's done Relatable. Oh, I love it. I love you guys. Yes, it is, right? It's amazing when insight comes, because the thing about insight is they're tailor-made for you. Tailor-made for you. They're not my insights, they're yours. And when you have an insight that's tailor-made for you, something fundamentally shifts. And it does so easily and effortlessly, and it does so permanently. Right? This is true. This is true. I see this all the time. Okay? All the time. That's right. Information is not insight. Two very, very different things. It's almost a completely different dimension. So, you can go and gather up all the information that you want. That doesn't necessarily make you insightful, and it doesn't give you insight. Okay? In many ways, and I say this as someone who did this myself, it can actually make us quite arrogant, right? And that was definitely my problem, because I've been gathering information and learning and researching things for years and years and years and years. So prior to me having this understanding, I thought because I had a lot of information, I knew a lot of stuff. Well, that just made me arrogant, an arrogant person with a lot of information. Wasn't really helpful in my relationships, right? And I do see this a lot of arrogant people with a lot of information who think they know better. I can tell you right now, that ain't going to help your relationships, and it's not where you get well-being and joy from either. That I know. That's not where peace of mind comes. That's not where calm comes. People who feel that way constantly need to distract themselves from how they feel, right? There are many people in life continuously distracting themselves from how they feel. So how do people distract themselves from how they feel? They get angry. Anger is a great distraction, all right? And then they project it out here. I don't feel good. Boom. That's because you did this to me. That's because this did this to this. That's because of this, 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 this. So anger is a great distraction, okay? Doesn't feel good for you or anyone, but it does distract you, right? So it serves a purpose. Drinking is a great distraction. Watching lots and lots and lots of reality TV is a great distraction. Overthinking is a great distraction. Please understand, all of these things are not great for relationships. Why? Because it takes you away from where you are. It has you speed up internally. And when you speed up internally, what people do, and I talk about this in Relatable, is they sneeze all over everybody. Right? They sneeze all over the people around them. They don't realize they're doing it because it looks justified to them. Okay, looks completely justified. But of course, if you think about it, if you've got a head cold and you need to sneeze, there is never a situation in your life where that would feel like it's justifiable to you to go up to someone and go, ka-choo, ka-choo, like you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. But we do that, right? When we're trying to distract ourselves. Yeah, my pleasure, Rob. It's never too late. Never too late. Never too late. I think I've said to you guys before, my eldest client, it was 86. I thought that was so cool that he wanted to see things differently at that age, that he could see that that was because every moment of now is your moment, right? Doesn't matter how old you are, every moment of now is your moment. So it's up to you, right? What you want to do with your moment of now. And there's never, if you want to buy into the thinking that it's too late, well, you can and take that away and use that to take away from your moment of now, but that's not true. Okay. You're never too old, you're never too young, you're never too anything. There's no such thing as to insert whatever comes from there. That's completely made up, right? That we buy into it, but it's made up. Hey, Brian, nice to see you here. Brian's another person. He bought my ebook and he's done my relatable program and has absolutely loved it. Brian is an absolute darling and a sweetheart. And so's Maz, so's Carly, so's Roz, who just add the most beautiful value to the Facebook group and the community. Thank you so much, guys. So I really want you to know, no matter what you're going through in your life right now, you do not have to be at the mercy of it. Okay? You do not have to be at the mercy of it, no matter what it is. And I say that as someone who's dealt with some very, very challenging things in my life. Please don't hear that some woman's talking on a Facebook Live who doesn't know what hardship looks like. I do. I really do. So, but the knowing that I am not at the mercy of whatever comes my way has been unbelievably life-changing and freeing and has been amazing for my sense of well-being. And of course, my marriage, the way I relate to my kids, all of it. And it has been very helpful as we move through lockdown after lockdown after lockdown and all the fear and division that's coming at us like everywhere in the media at the moment. Okay. I'm not buying into any of that because I know that's not where the answers lie. I know where to find the answers for me, and my clients know where to find the answer for themselves. And it means that people are moving through difficult situations with ease and grace. Ease and grace. I have a far greater level of humility in my life. I have a far level of grace in my life, and I have a far greater level of love, calm, insight. I'm not perfect, guys. Like, please believe me. And listen, anyone here will tell you I'm the first person to put my hand up and say I have just as many frailties as anybody. But that's the nature of humans, right? We all have frailties. We're not meant to be perfect. We're not. We all have frailties. We all make messes. It's just part and parcel of being human. But if you're frightened of your frailties, if you're frightened of your messes, then your level of suffering goes up exponentially compared to somebody who is not. And I want you to know you don't have to be frightened. You don't have to live like that. You just don't. That's one of those optional extras, fear and being frightened of your experience. You don't need to. I promise you, there's more on offer than that. Way more on offer than that. So if you are looking for a greater sense of calm within yourself, a greater sense of freedom, emotional freedom within yourself, peace of mind in your life and your relationships, I promise you, what I teach in my online program, Relatable, will give that to you. It's an understanding that is true for everybody, and there's no exception. Doesn't matter whether you have a mental health diagnosis either, this is something that will help you. Okay? So do not sit there and think I'm the exception because that's not true. All you need to know is you are a human being. And there is a far easier, more effortless way to approach life. And when you see that, there's more on offer for you. When I say more on offer, I mean a better feeling. I mean peace of mind. I mean clarity. I mean a greater sense of empowerment. I mean getting those massive bricks off your shoulders, putting down that enormous mental load. That is what is available to you. Okay? No exceptions. Doesn't matter about the past. Doesn't matter where you are right now. This is yours It's your birthright. As Carly was, Carly, who is in Canada, was, I do say that word a lot. And so she was making fun of my Aussie accent, but it was very funny on one of the group calls the other night, trying to say that out loud in a Canadian accent. It was very funny. I got to say, the Aussie accent is very hard for anyone to imitate. And we were in hysterics the other night. Yes, we were, Carly, as she gave a really lovely attempt to do a rendition of that. So just to recap, I do these lives from 1:30 to approximately 2:30 or thereabouts every Friday. If you have a question, please send it to hello. If you can't make it, hello@fionalukis.com.au, and I will answer it for you. If you want to ask a question while I'm on the call, hey, Kerry, great, awesome. Can't wait to meet you in the group, honey. Welcome. Glad to have you on board. Whereabouts are you from, Kerry? I'll be very curious to know. So yeah, if you want to know more about it, if you want to send me an email with a question, send it to hello@fionalukis.com.au. I will answer it for you. If you are live, I will answer your questions first because you are live. All right, beautiful, Geelong. Okay, just the other side of the bay to me. So that's Melbourne. For those of you who don't know, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Geelong is the other side of the bay from where I live. So beautiful part of Melbourne. So if you have a question, please do that. If you are live, I will answer your questions first because you are here live. Okay. Oh, Brian, Hakuna Matata. If I had to trust 5 people with my life, I'd list Fiona in the 5 spots without blinking. Absolutely changed my life, my kids, and my business in months. Living the dream. Well, thank you, Brian. That's so. I can't tell you what that means for me to hear you say that. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it, Brian. Okay, just get a little bit emotional sometimes when people share stuff like that. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so I just want you to know, if you've just joined this live, if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you are at the mercy of your circumstances or at the mercy of your relationship and you do not know what to do, please ask a question. Send a question to hello@fionalukis.com.au. Thanks, Maz. Totally agree. I haven't been so at peace ever in my life. Love it. Thanks, honey. Please send an email, your question there. Or the other thing you can do is listen to my Relatable podcast, which you can find on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and where I'm making a very gentle introduction to this understanding there. Okay, but if you want to get there faster, if you want to bring this into your life now, join us in Relatable. It's an amazing community, an amazing program, and as everybody says, a breath of fresh air for relationships. So thank you, everybody. It's been such a pleasure to spend this time with you. If you've got any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, post them in the comments below, and I will do my best to come in and answer them for you. Otherwise, I'll see you on the live next Friday at 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Ciao, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, Roz. Thanks, everyone. Bye.